Hey everybody, welcome back again. And today I'm looking at another figure, and this one has actually been out for a little while, and this one has been super elusive and difficult to find, but finally did track it down. It's the only time that I've seen it in a store actually, and it's going to be Hasbro's 6th and thankfully final entry into the Constructicon series from their Studio 86 line. So the one that we're going to be taking a look at today is going to be Scavenger. This is the final figure to be released. This one and Mixmaster were initially very difficult to find. I'm starting to see a lot of copies of Mixmaster in stores. I expect probably within the coming weeks we'll start to see a lot more Scavengers. But up until now, I've only seen one. I found this one at a Target and just went ahead and picked it up. Had the 25% off special that they were running on their Transformers toys, so I figured, hey, why not? So without any further delay, let's go ahead and get into this and see what we've got. So if you haven't watched the other unboxings and reviews that I've done for the other Constructicons in this Studio 86 line, you know that I've been very, I guess, critical of Hasbro's effort that they seem to have put into this set of figures. The quality, I don't think, has been great. The engineering, I don't think, has been great. For what they're charging for these figures, but you know, I've got the other 5. I wanted to go ahead and get this final one and just have this set completed and be done with it and see what the overall Devastator Combiner looks like once it's completed. So looking at the box art, you know, the box art on these has been really nice actually, but it's, you know, just your standard box art. It's very consistent with the other Constructicons. You've got some product shots on the back. The artwork there of Devastator tossing sludge. Or is that sludge? Or no, it's sludge. And then the side with the nice artwork of the Devastator Combiner. So pretty standard box art. So this is a deluxe class figure. So this is comparable to their Bone Crusher. Uses a lot of the same engineering, a lot of the same parts. Obviously a different color scheme, and the top vehicle is a little bit different. So here we've got him in the box, strapped in here. Comes with the figure, a weapon, and the bucket looks like it's separate. So let's go ahead and get him out of here. So we've got the weapon wrapped in kind of this tissue paper that has become pretty much the standard in Hasbro's figures. So looking at it right off the bat, let's get these plastic fasteners out of here. So the gun, pretty typical of the other guns. It's hard to tell if it's painted. I don't think it's painted. It's just molded in that color, but you know, it is what it is. The figure itself, so is kind of a little weird and wonky looking, but if you remember, the original toy that came out 40 years ago was weird and wonky looking as well. It's pretty typical of the modern deluxe classes. And I said this about the Bone Crusher figure as well. I really think that a figure at a $25 price point should have a little bit better engineering than having ball joints in the arms. It should have twisting wrists. You know, these fold in. It's part of the transformation. It's not extra articulation. The head sculpt is actually really nice. As always, Hasbro does a really good job with these head sculpts. So that is, I would definitely say, the high point of this figure. The bucket does go on separately. So if you are a purist and think about the original animation model, you know that the bucket kind of hung back in the back of the figure like that a little bit. Obviously, when it's in vehicle mode, this gets twisted. I've seen some people fold it up like that. To me, that's not animation accurate. That's how it should be. But let's take a look at the articulation here in this figure. So we've got head is all the way around. You get a little bit of down, no up on that. Shoulders, you get arm up all the way around. I think you get a little bit of extra articulation here. That's part of the transformation, but really not useful in bot mode. The elbow is a ball joint, as I said before, goes all the way in around. You get a 90-degree bend. The wrist just folds in. That's not really articulation in my book. That's part of the transformation. There is no wrist waist swivel on this figure, so you get no waist whatsoever. At the hips, you get leg up, leg back. You get a bend at the knee, 90 degrees. You do get a thigh swivel, and you get ankle tilt. Obviously, the feet, you can kind of change your posing and articulation by kind of clipping these in a little bit and getting a little bit of toe lift. But really, it's, you know, pretty typical of what they pass off as a deluxe class figure these days. You know, it is what it is. Like I said, I've been very critical of Hasbro for these figures. I really think that they did not put a whole lot of effort into really executing these figures in the overall Combiner. It's significantly smaller than the original Combiner Wars Combiner was that came out about 10 years ago. The engineering is really similar between all of them, and I do realize that some of those figures in the Combiner Wars set had ball joints, but they just, for the downsizing that they've done with these figures, I just really think that they could have done a little bit better as far as the engineering goes and the articulation on these. But, you know, I'm happy, I guess, to have this final figure in the set and be able to complete it and see what the overall Devastator looks like. I will actually have a separate video a little bit later where I'll put this together and show everything. But, you know, if you're wanting to complete the set, it's a recommended figure. I will have it just for the purpose of completing the Combiner. I wouldn't really display this in bot mode. But let's take a look at the alt mode and see what we have there and see how that looks. So what we do here is pull this down, fold this. Looks like the wrists fold in. And I'm kind of doing this on the fly. I have not looked at the instructions. I've seen some brief transformation videos online and just trying to recall it to the best of my memory. So these hands do peg back into the back when you fold those in. They're really tight pegs, so you kind of have to work with it a little bit. And I've seen some other folks that have made comments about this little hinge right here with the bucket cockpit here and not fitting properly. Mine seems to be okay. but I've seen a couple mentions online of people having to shave off part of that hinge to make everything fit together properly. I did not have to do that. So once we get the arms folded back, the legs look like they twist back, his feet fold, everything pegs in, and you get Scavenger in his alt mode. So pretty standard looking, pretty accurate. Looks like Scavenger, looks like a G1, looks like the animation model. Very simple transformation. You know, it is what it is. Like I said, these figures have been pretty lackluster, but I think really most people are getting them to have the Devastator Combiner overall. So I won't display these as previously mentioned in bot mode or alt mode. They'll be on my shelf as the Devastator Combiner. So overall, you know, I give the the alt mode probably a 6 or 7 out of 10. You know, for what it's supposed to do, it does it. Nothing fancy, nothing great. It looks okay. So let's take a look at him again. I'll put him in his combined mode, and we'll take a look at that and see what that looks like. So let's take him, and we will, if it's similar to how the Bone Crusher figure was, we will have to bring this part out, which will be his arm. And we've got this part that folds out. And we have to remember that this is Devastator's right arm, so it's going to go like this. And I'm assuming once I get the other parts on, this will fold into the hand part that fits onto Devastator's arm. But this is what he looks like in combined mode. As we know, this part sits at the end of hook. This is where the articulation in the arm will be. So you'll have straight up, down. It'll go all the way around. You have a couple different options if you want to have the bucket like this, or if you want to fold it backwards like this. I know there's a couple of different ways of doing that, and he appeared a couple different ways in animation as to how that was oriented, but that's what it'll look like. You've got a 90-degree bend at the elbow here. So I am going to do another video and showing combining him with the rest of what we have in Devastator so far and get it all put together and take a look at that. But I would say that's the end of the unboxing and first impressions for the Scavenger figure for this video. But again, I appreciate everybody watching. If you like this content, please like, please subscribe. I'll continue doing more of them. Thank you for watching.